The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the crackling torches that burned around the great square of the colony. Shadows danced on the walls as villagers gathered, their eyes wide with fear. At the center stood a massive cage built of metal and stone. Inside, a creature moved slowly, its massive body hidden in the darkness, glowing eyes watching every motion. The elders stood in a circle, their robes dragging in the dust. They raised their voices, speaking words that echoed with authority. "The beast must be sacrificed," they declared. "It has cursed this colony for too long. It is the reason for our losses. It is the reason for our fears." The villagers nodded, their faces pale. Some clutched their children close. Others covered their mouths, as if speaking a word of doubt might summon death itself. The human traveler, Marcus, had arrived in the colony only 3 days before. He had come with supplies and goodwill, but now he found himself standing among strangers who whispered of blood and curses, his gaze fixed on the cage. The creature inside was larger than any beast he had seen. Its frame was broad, its hide scarred. Its breath rumbled like thunder in the stillness. The villagers called it a demon, but Marcus saw something else, something that made him pause. The elders lifted their staffs, calling for silence. "At dawn," the eldest one cried, "the beast will be slain. Its blood will purify our land. Only then will our people be free from terror." A murmur of agreement swept through the crowd, but Marcus felt unease crawl down his spine. He did not see rage in the beast's glowing eyes. He saw sorrow, deep and heavy, as if the creature itself had been waiting for this moment. The villagers hurled stones at the cage. Some shouted insults, others spat. The beast did not strike back. It lowered its head and sat in the corner, like a prisoner who had already given up. Marcus stepped forward, unable to stop himself. He asked the nearest villager, "What has it done?" The man trembled as he replied, "It brings bad luck. Crops die, storms come, hunters vanish. We must kill it, or we will all perish." Marcus frowned. He knew fear when he saw it, but fear was not proof. He moved closer to the cage despite the sharp warnings from the guards. The beast raised its head, its glowing eyes fixed on him. For a long breath, time itself seemed to halt. Marcus felt his heart pound in his chest. He expected rage, claws, or teeth snapping at the bars. Instead, the beast let out a sound low, broken, almost like a whimper. The sound struck him harder than any roar could. It was not the cry of a monster. It was the voice of something lost and alone. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small piece of dried bread. He hesitated, the crowd gasping in disbelief. Slowly, he crouched near the bars and held out his hand. The elders shouted, "Stay back, fool! It will tear you apart." But Marcus stayed, his eyes locked with the creature's. The beast moved, heavy muscles shifting under its scarred hide. It came forward, slow, cautious. Its eyes never left Marcus. The crowd screamed and some backed away, but Marcus did not move. His hand trembled as the massive head came closer. The beast sniffed the air. Its hot breath washed over his fingers. Then, with surprising gentleness, it took the bread from his palm. Its rough tongue brushed against his skin. Gasps filled the square. The elders shouted curses, witchcraft. They cried, "The human tries to bind the demon." Guards rushed forward, but froze when they saw the beast lower its head, resting it close to Marcus's hand, not in attack, but in trust. Marcus raised his other hand slowly, his fingers touched the beast's fur. It was coarse, warm, trembling under his touch. The creature closed its eyes, leaning into the contact like it had waited a lifetime for kindness. The crowd erupted into chaos. Some screamed to kill both the human and the beast. Others stood frozen, unsure of what they had just witnessed. Marcus felt the weight of every eye upon him, but his focus stayed on the beast. He whispered softly, "You're not a monster, are you?" The beast's ear twitched, as though it understood. The head elder stepped forward, his face twisted with fury. "This changes nothing," he roared. "At dawn the sacrifice will happen. The demon dies, and so will any fool who stands in our Way, the guards surrounded Marcus, their spears gleaming in the torchlight. The villagers chanted louder. Voices trembling with both fear and anger, Marcus looked down at the beast. Its eyes were still on him, and in that gaze he saw not danger, but a silent plea, the kind that begged not for freedom, but for mercy. His hand tightened on the bars. He realized then that the battle ahead was not just about saving a beast. It was about challenging fear itself. The torches burned brighter, casting long shadows across the square. The chants grew louder. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Marcus stood firm, heart racing. As the beast pressed its head closer to his hand, he knew the dawn would bring blood, but whose blood would spill remained unknown. And in that moment, the colony held its breath, caught between fear and the impossible sight of a human gently feeding and petting the creature they had long called a monster. The square was restless even after the elders left. The torches still burned, but the people had scattered to their homes. Some cursed the humans' foolishness. Others whispered in fear of what they had witnessed. Only Marcus remained, sitting near the cage with his hand resting on the bars. The beast had retreated into the shadows, but its glowing eyes stayed fixed on him. The night stretched long. Marcus could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered the way the beast had leaned into his hand. The villagers called it a demon, but demons did not whimper like wounded children. He sat under the stars, wondering if he had made a mistake or if he had uncovered a truth no one wanted to see. When the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the colony began to stir. Villagers brought water from the wells. Children carried baskets of grain. Everyone prepared for the sacrifice that was meant to end their fears. The elders ordered the guards to sharpen their blades. At sunset, they commanded, "The beast will die." Their voices carried across the streets like a final judgment. Marcus walked back to the cage, ignoring the hostile stares of the villagers. He carried food again, bread and a strip of dried meat. He crouched low, speaking in a soft voice. "Are you hungry?" The beast shifted, the chains clinking as it moved closer. The massive creature sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. For a moment it hesitated, then lowered its head. It took the food from his hand, more gently than any wild animal Marcus had ever known. Gasps echoed behind him. 2 children had followed. Their eyes were wide with wonder. One whispered, "The demon eats from his hand like a tame hound." Before Marcus could reply, the children's mother rushed forward, pulling them away. She spat at Marcus's feet. "You will bring ruin on all of us. Leave it to die. Outsider, leave it." Her voice trembled more with fear than hatred. Marcus turned back to the beast. His hand brushed against its muzzle. "They fear you because they don't understand you," he whispered. The beast's ears flicked, its eyes meeting his again. For a strange moment, Marcus felt it understood, not with words, but with something deeper. That night, when the villagers slept, Marcus returned. The guards had grown lazy, assuming no one would dare approach the cage. Again, he moved silently, carrying a flask of water and a bundle of food. As he reached the bars, the beast stirred. Its massive form shifted, chains rattling softly. Marcus poured water into a shallow bowl and slid it inside. The beast drank slowly, its breath heavy but calm. Marcus sat cross-legged outside the cage. Watching, he spoke softly, telling it about his travels. "I've walked across 3 colonies," he said. "I've seen deserts that shine under 2 suns. I've seen rivers so wide they look like oceans." His words were not important, but his voice was steady, kind. The beast listened, its ears twitching, its eyes glowing like 2 embers in the dark. As hours passed, Marcus noticed scars along the beast's body. They were not marks of battle alone. Some were thin and deliberate, like cuts made by knives. He leaned closer, whispering, "They hurt you, didn't they?" The beast let out a low rumble, not anger, but something that sounded almost like grief. Marcus's chest tightened. He reached through the bars again, brushing his fingers against the rough fur. The beast leaned into the touch, closing its eyes. In that moment, Marcus realized the truth. This was no monster waiting to kill. It was a prisoner, tortured and betrayed. His mind turned to the elders. Why would they lie? Why keep such a creature chained? The question dug at him. The villagers believed in curses, but Marcus had seen no evidence, only fear. And fear was often the tool of those who wanted control. The next morning, villagers gathered again. Some spoke of omens, others swore the skies were darker than usual. The elders fanned the flames of fear, shouting that the sacrifice must happen before nightfall. Marcus stood at the edge of the crowd, silent. His eyes returned again and again to the cage. The beast sat quietly watching him. As the sun dipped low, drums began to sound. Guards marched toward the cage, carrying long blades and ropes. The villagers cheered weakly, half out of fear, half out of habit. Marcus stepped forward, his voice loud. "Wait!" he shouted. The crowd froze. The elders turned sharply, their faces furious. "I have seen the beast up close," Marcus declared. "It is not violent. It is not cursed. It is starving, wounded, and chained. If you kill it, you kill an innocent being." The villagers erupted in shouts. Some yelled for his silence. Others looked uncertain. One old woman cried, "Blasphemy! The beast has cursed us for years." Marcus pointed at the scars on its body. "Does this look like a curse or cruelty?" The beast raised its head then, its glowing eyes sweeping across the crowd. It did not roar. It did not thrash. It simply looked calm, waiting. For the first time, doubt spread through the colony. The elders' faces darkened. Their control was slipping. They barked orders. "Bind the human. He is possessed. He will die with the beast." Guards advanced, spears gleaming. Marcus stood tall. Though his heart raced, behind him, the beast let out a low growl. Deep and resonant, it shook the ground, not in rage but in warning. The villagers gasped, some stumbled back. The guards froze for an instant. Marcus realized the connection between him and the beast was growing stronger. It was no longer just kindness, it was trust, and trust, in the face of fear, was more dangerous than any weapon. As night fell, the elders ordered the sacrifice to continue, but now the people were divided. Whispers spread in the crowd. What if the human is right? What if the beast is not cursed? Marcus placed his hand once more on the bars, the beast pressing close. Their bond was undeniable. The colony had lived in fear for years, but for the first time, someone dared to stand against it. The drums thundered again. Spears were raised, torches burned higher. The moment of choice had arrived, and Marcus knew the next step would decide not only the beast's fate, but his own. The sacrifice was delayed, but the air in the colony grew heavy with fear. The elders were furious that the people hesitated. Their voices thundered in meetings, warning that hesitation would bring disaster. Yet the whispers would not stop. Some spoke of the human who touched the beast without being harmed. Some spoke of the way the beast listened like it could understand. Marcus stayed near the cage. Day after day, he returned with food and water. At first, the guards tried to push him away, but soon they grew tired. They muttered that if he wanted to die feeding a demon, let him. He did not care about their words. His focus was on the creature that slowly began to change before his eyes. The beast no longer hid in the shadows. When Marcus came, it stepped closer to the bars. Its glowing eyes were softer now, less like fire and more like embers fading in the night. When he spoke, the beast tilted its head as if listening. When he offered food, it took the meal gently, never snapping, never showing rage. One evening, Marcus sat beside the cage as the stars filled the sky. He spoke of his home. "I once had a hound," he said softly. "It would follow me everywhere. It would bark at strangers but sleep at my feet. I see that in you." The beast lowered its massive head, pressing it close to the bars. Marcus reached through, resting his hand on its scarred muzzle. The beast closed its eyes, breathing slow and steady. The scars troubled Marcus. Each mark told a story of suffering. Some were deep, clawed into the flesh. Others were thin and cruel, like blades had carved symbols into its hide. Marcus whispered, "They hurt you." Again and again, and then they called you cursed. His heart burned with anger. The elders had twisted truth into fear. They had turned the colony against a creature that was already broken. The next morning, Marcus searched for answers. He found the archive's dusty scrolls, kept in a chamber beneath the elders' hall. He read by dim lantern light. His eyes scanned the faded records, and what he found shook him. The beast was not a demon. It was once called a guardian. Long ago, when the colony was first built, its kind had lived in the forests nearby. They had protected settlers from storms and wild predators. But when food grew scarce, hunters turned on the guardians. Fearing revenge, the elders of old spread lies, branding the beasts as cursed. Marcus closed the scrolls, rage boiling in his chest. He returned to the cage that night. The beast greeted him with a soft rumble. He whispered, "You saved them once, didn't you? And they betrayed you." The beast lowered its head. Its glowing eyes filled with something more than instinct. There was sorrow, deep and old. The bond grew stronger each day. Marcus spoke to it as he would to a friend. The beast responded not with words but with small gestures, an ear twitch, a steady gaze, a gentle lean against the bars. Even the villagers began to notice. Children whispered, "The demon looks calm when the human is near." Some even dared to peek from behind corners, curious instead of afraid. But the elders did not rest. They gathered the guards, whispering that Marcus had bewitched the beast. "He is turning the people against us," one hissed. "If they see the demon as harmless, our power is gone." Plans were made in secret to end both the human and the beast in one stroke. Unaware of the plotting, Marcus dreamed of freedom. One night he whispered to the beast, "What if I could break your chains? Would you run or would you stay?" The beast shifted, its massive eyes glowing brighter. It pressed against the bars, a low rumble in its chest, not a growl, but an answer. Marcus felt hope spark inside him. The next day, he tested the chains. They were thick, bolted deep into stone. He pressed his fingers along the locks. He would need tools, time, and luck. But he could not stop thinking about it. He knew the beast did not belong in a cage. That night, clouds gathered. A storm rolled over the colony. Rain lashed against rooftops. Thunder shook the sky. The villagers huddled indoors, whispering that the curse had awakened. Marcus, soaked to the bone, hurried to the cage. The beast sat quietly despite the storm. When he knelt beside it, it pressed its head close to his chest through the bars. His arms wrapped around its scarred form as lightning split the sky. In that moment, man and beast were no longer strangers. They were allies, bound by trust and suffering. Marcus whispered, "I will not let them kill you." The beast's rumble echoed in the storm, strong and steady, but far away in the elders' hall. Torches burned. The leaders planned, their eyes cold. At the next gathering, the eldest vowed, "We will end this madness." The demon dies, and the outsider with it. The storm raged on. The colony trembled, and Marcus sat in the rain, holding the beast's muzzle, unaware that danger was closing in. The storm passed, but the colony did not return to peace. The elders whispered among themselves, their plans sharpening like knives in the dark. Meanwhile, Marcus returned again and again to the cage. His mind burned with questions. His heart wrestled with anger. He could no longer accept the story the villagers told. He had read the old records. He had seen the truth with his own eyes. The beast was once a guardian, not a curse. He watched the scars on the beast's body when the sun rose. Some scars were deep, but others seemed carved with purpose, strange lines etched across its hide like symbols. Marcus leaned closer one morning, whispering, "These marks, they are not wounds of battle. They were made. They were carved into you." The beast let out a low growl, not at Marcus, but at the memory that burned inside it. Marcus decided he needed to know more. That night, when the guards drank and dozed by their fire, he slipped back into the archives. His lantern flickered as he unrolled brittle scrolls. The words were written by trembling hands of settlers long dead. One scroll spoke of storms that once destroyed homes. The guardians had stood against them, sheltering colonists in their massive bodies. Another scroll told of beasts defending villages from predators. Their glowing eyes had been a blessing, guiding hunters in the dark. But then came the famine. Desperate settlers hunted the very guardians that had saved them. Fear twisted into lies, lies hardened into law. And law became tradition. Marcus's chest grew heavy. He clenched his fists. "They betrayed you," he whispered into the silence. "They feared what they could not control." He tucked the scroll back into its place. His heart burned with resolve. He had to act. The next day, Marcus brought fresh water and fruit to the cage. The beast's eyes met his. Glowing faintly in the morning light, he whispered, "I know your secret. You are not cursed. You are the last of your kind. They destroyed your kin, and now they want to end you too." The beast leaned forward, pressing its massive head against the bars. For a moment, Marcus swore he felt words in his mind, not spoken, but carried through the weight of its gaze sorrow, pain, trust. Children watched from the distance again. They saw the beast lower its head to Marcus's touch. Their whispers spread through the streets. "The demon is not angry with him. The demon listens." Some children even dared to smile. When they saw Marcus feed the beast, hope grew in quiet corners of the colony. But fear still ruled louder. The elders grew desperate. They called a gathering at the great hall. Villagers crowded inside, their voices buzzing. The eldest rose and thundered, "The curse grows stronger. The storm last night was proof. The demon must die before the next moon. If not, the heavens themselves will strike us down." Murmurs filled the hall. Some villagers nodded in fear, but others hesitated. A farmer spoke softly, "But the beast has not harmed us. It sits quietly. Only the human approaches it, and he still lives." The elders silenced him with sharp glares. Their power trembled, but their voices pressed harder. That night, Marcus returned to the cage again. His voice was low. "They will kill you soon, unless I find a way. But I cannot do it alone." He studied the locks. He needed help. But who would stand with him against the elders? His thoughts were broken when the beast shifted. It raised its head high and let out a deep, resonant cry. Not of rage, but of calling. The sound echoed across the forest that surrounded the colony. It was long, sorrowful, but strong. The guards rushed forward, spears ready, but froze when nothing answered from the forest. The villagers whispered in terror, "It calls its kin. It will bring doom upon us." But Marcus's heart raced with a different thought. Perhaps it had once called family. Perhaps it still hoped another lived out there. That night, Marcus dreamed. In the dream, he stood in a field, and the beast was beside him. Not chained, not scarred, but free. Its glowing eyes looked into his, and in that gaze he saw an entire history, flames, betrayal, pain, but also loyalty. He woke drenched in sweat, the dream feeling too real to ignore. The next day, Marcus confronted one of the younger guards. A boy barely older than 20. He asked quietly, "Why do you fear it so much? Have you ever seen it hurt anyone?" The boy hesitated. "No," he admitted, "but the elders say it is cursed. The scars are marks of its evil." Marcus shook his head. "Those scars are wounds from blades, not curses. They carved their lies into its skin." The guard said nothing, but doubt flickered in his eyes. The bond between Marcus and the beast grew unshakable. The beast no longer waited in silence. When Marcus came, it rumbled softly. A greeting. When he left, it followed him with its gaze until he vanished from sight. The trust was complete, but danger grew sharper. The elders whispered to the guards, "At the next moonrise, no more delays, the beast dies, and the outsider with it." Marcus knew time was running out. He pressed his forehead against the bars one evening, whispering, "I will not let them take you. I will find a way." The beast lowered its head, pressing close. Its breath was warm, its heart steady. For the first time in his travels, Marcus felt he was not alone. But high in the hall, the elders prepared chains, blades, and fire. Their wrath would not wait much longer. The secret of the beast had been uncovered. And now Marcus carried it. But truth was dangerous, and those who feared truth would kill to bury it again. The moon rose high, pale and cold. The cage stood in shadows, Marcus beside it. And though the night was silent, he knew the storm was coming. The night before the sacrifice was set, the colony burned with tension. Torches lined the square. Drums echoed through the streets. The elders had spread their word. At dawn, the beast would die, and with it, the outsider who had defied them. The villagers whispered in fear, but some now whispered in doubt. The human had lived with the beast, fed it, touched it, and still walked unharmed. Could the elders have lied all along? Marcus stood near the cage, his hands gripping the cold bars. The beast pressed its head against his shoulder, silent but steady. The bond between them was unbreakable now. Marcus whispered, "They are coming for us both." The beast rumbled, low and deep, as if it already knew. The guards marched into the square, their armor clinking. The elders followed, their robes flowing like shadows in firelight. The eldest elder raised his staff and shouted, "Tonight ends the curse, the demon dies, and the outsider with it. None will challenge our law again." The villagers erupted into cheers, but the cheers trembled. Some voices lacked strength. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. "You fear what you do not understand. You call this creature a demon. But it has shown me more kindness than your laws ever have." His words spread across the square, sharp and daring. The guards froze for a moment. Uncertain, the villagers murmured, their doubts rising again. The eldest elder's face twisted. "Lies, he has bewitched the beast. He seeks to curse us all. Take him." The guards surged forward. Spears gleaming, Marcus braced himself, but before they could reach him, the beast let out a roar. The sound thundered through the square, shaking the ground. It was not a roar of rage, but of warning. The guards stumbled back, their courage faltering. The villagers screamed and scattered. Children pulled away by mothers. Some covered their ears, some fell to their knees. But Marcus stood firm, his hand pressed against the beast's muzzle. "It does not attack," he shouted. "Protects." The beast lowered its body, its glowing eyes sweeping across the square. It stepped between Marcus and the guards, massive and imposing. The ground quaked under its weight, but its stance was not wild. It was controlled, deliberate. The message was clear: harm the human, and face me. The guards hesitated, their knuckles white around their weapons. None wanted to strike first. Fear gripped them, not fear of a demon, but fear of a guardian rising again. The elders shouted, desperate, "Attack, fools, before it destroys us all." But the guards did not move. Their eyes betrayed doubt. Marcus raised his voice again. "Look at it. It has not harmed a single one of you. You chained it, starved it, cut it, and still it shows mercy. Ask yourselves, what kind of monster accepts kindness instead of vengeance?" His words echoed in the night. The villagers who lingered began to murmur. Some lowered their torches, some bowed their heads. The eldest elder, red with fury, snatched a spear from a guard and charged. His staff clattered to the ground as he aimed straight for Marcus. The villagers gasped. The beast surged forward, faster than anyone expected. Its massive paw struck the ground, claws scraping stone. It stopped the elder with a single shove. The spear shattered against its hide, splinters flying. The elder collapsed, rolling back, coughing in the dirt. The square fell silent. Only the sound of the beast's breathing filled the air. Its glowing eyes blazed, not with rage, but with defiance. The villagers stared, realizing the truth they had been told might have been nothing but a lie. Marcus stood beside the beast, his chest heaving. He looked at the people, his voice softer now. "You have lived in fear because you were told to. But fear does not mean truth. This creature is not your curse. It is your victim, and tonight you saw it defend me, not destroy me." His words sank deep, carried by the silence of the stunned crowd. But the elders would not surrender. The eldest elder rose again. blood on his lips. "Do not believe him," he screamed. "This is a trick. The beast seeks to enslave us. Kill them both, now." He raised his arms, and a handful of loyal guards obeyed, rushing forward. The beast roared again, this time louder. Its massive body shielded Marcus completely. Spears struck its hide but glanced off. The beast swung its paw, knocking soldiers aside like leaves. But even in its strength, it never killed. It only pushed, only defended. It fought with restraint. As if proving Marcus's words true, the villagers began to see. Their voices rose. "It does not kill, it protects," the elders lied. More dropped their torches. Some guards even lowered their weapons. Their eyes filled with guilt. The eldest elder's power crumbled before his eyes. His voice cracked as he screamed, "Obey me, or be cursed forever." But the words no longer held weight. The people had seen too much. Marcus stepped forward, his hand still resting on the beast, his voice calm but unyielding. "Your curse is fear, and tonight it ends." The villagers fell quiet. Some knelt, not to the elders, but to the truth before them. The beast raised its head, glowing eyes sweeping across them. Its breath steady, its body strong. It did not roar again. It simply stood, a guardian reborn. The elders looked around and saw their power slipping away. For the first time in years, doubt had broken their hold. Marcus knew this night had changed everything. But he also knew it was not the end. The elders would not give up so easily. They would strike again, harder. The real fight had only begun. The square glowed with fading firelight. The beast stood tall beside the human, and the colony, caught between old fear and new hope, waited for dawn. Dawn broke over the colony, but peace did not come. The air was thick with whispers. Some villagers spoke of what they had seen, a beast that defended a human instead of killing. Others still clung to fear, muttering that the elders must be right. The square was stained with the night's clash. Broken spears and smoldering torches scattered like forgotten truths. Marcus stood beside the beast, weary but unbroken. The creature leaned close, its breath steady, its eyes glowing softly in the morning light. Around them the guards stood uncertain. Some lowered their weapons, others waited for orders that no longer held power. The elders gathered in the hall, their faces twisted with rage. They had lost control of the people's faith, and they would not allow it to slip further. That same morning, an order was given in secret. "Kill the human and the beast before nightfall," the eldest elder whispered. "If the people see their deaths, fear will return to us." Loyal guards prepared chains, nets and fire. Their boots echoed across the colony streets. Heavy with purpose, Marcus sensed the danger. He saw the whispers among soldiers, the hurried movements near the armory. He turned to the beast and spoke softly. "They will come again. Stronger than before. We cannot stay here." The beast lowered its head as if in agreement. A deep rumble shook its chest, not of fear, but of readiness. As the sun climbed higher, Marcus moved quickly. He packed what little he had: food, water, a small blade. He spoke to a few villagers who dared to believe him. One pressed fruit into his hands, whispering, "Go before it's too late. The elders will kill you both." Another old man nodded with trembling lips. "The beast once saved us long ago. Save it now and save yourself." Their kindness gave him strength. By nightfall, the plan was set. The guards circled the square, nets and spears in hand. Their eyes burned with duty, but also with unease. The beast sensed them before they struck. Its ears twitched, its glowing eyes sharp. Marcus whispered, "Now." He pulled at the lock with a stolen key. The chain rattled free, the cage door groaned open, and for the first time in years, the beast stepped outside. The ground shook beneath its paws. The villagers gasped from their windows. The elders cried out in fury, "Stop them! Bind them!" The guards lunged forward, spears flashing. But the beast swung its massive body, knocking them aside without killing. Marcus ducked under a blade, pulling the beast toward the outer wall. Chaos erupted. The drums beat again, not for ceremony, but for alarm. Torches lit the night as the colony gave chase. The beast bounded forward, Marcus clinging to its thick fur as it leapt through narrow alleys. Arrows whistled past, one grazing Marcus's shoulder, but he held on. The beast roared, the sound shaking rooftops, scattering pursuers in fear. They reached the gate, but it was barred. Guards swarmed the entrance, spears bristling. The beast stopped, its chest heaving. Marcus looked around desperately. "The wall!" he shouted. The beast turned, crouching low. Marcus clung tight as it leapt. Its claws dug into the stone, pulling its massive body upward. The villagers screamed below. "The demon escapes! Stop it!" The climb was brutal. Arrows thudded into the wall. Sparks flew as steel scraped against stone. Marcus's heart pounded, but the beast climbed higher, every muscle strained, every scar burning in effort. At last, with a final surge, it reached the top. Marcus gasped as he looked down. The colony burned with torches, shadows racing like ants. The elders' voices shrieked in rage, carried by the wind. On the other side stretched the wild forest, dark and endless. The beast leapt down, landing heavy but steady. The trees swallowed them, branches snapping, roots tangling. Behind them, the horns of pursuit wailed. The colony would not let them go so easily. The forest was alive with sounds, crickets, owls, and strange cries echoed through the night. Marcus slid down from the beast's back, his legs trembling. He whispered, "We made it, but they are not far." The beast sniffed the air, ears pricked. It growled low, warning of danger close behind. They moved deeper into the forest, torches flickering in the distance. Guards followed, their shouts sharp. Marcus stumbled over roots, but the beast lowered itself, letting him climb again. Together they pressed forward, weaving through trees, bounding over streams. Each moment was a race against the hunters behind. At last they reached a ravine, deep and wide. Water roared below. The beast paused, scanning the edge. Marcus's breath came fast. "We cannot go back. We must cross." The beast crouched low, muscles coiling. Marcus held tight. The leap came swift and powerful. For a heartbeat, they flew through air, and then they landed hard on the other side, stones scattering under their weight. The pursuers reached the edge but stopped. Their torches waved wildly. Their shouts grew faint over the sound of the river. Few dared to leap. The ravine marked a boundary the villagers feared. The forest beyond was said to be cursed. Marcus watched from the shadows, his chest heaving. He whispered to the beast, "They will not follow, not tonight." The beast rumbled softly, its glowing eyes meeting his. In that moment, Marcus felt not fear, but freedom, for the first time since their bond began. The cage was behind them, yet the danger was not gone. The elders would not rest. They would gather strength. They would hunt again. Marcus laid a hand on the beast's scarred muzzle. "We escaped tonight, but the war is not over." The beast lowered its head, pressing close, its warmth steady in the cold night. The forest whispered around them, dark and deep, their path unknown, but shared, and so they vanished into the shadows of the wild. A human and a beast once called a demon, fleeing from fear, running toward truth. Asterisk. The forest wrapped around Marcus and the beast like a living wall. Days passed in shadow and silence. They moved through tall trees, over rivers, across cliffs where the wind howled like a warning. Marcus grew thin, his clothes torn, but his spirit did not break. The beast carried him when he stumbled, shared warmth when nights turned bitter cold. In those moments, Marcus saw not a monster, but a guardian reborn. Yet peace was fleeting, for behind them, the colony still stirred. The elders had not abandoned their hunt. Messengers were sent to nearby villages, spreading tales of a cursed demon that had escaped with a mad human. Fear traveled faster than truth, and hunters gathered, bound by lies one evening. As the stars lit the forest, Marcus sat by a small fire. The beast lay close, its glowing eyes watching the dark. Marcus whispered, "They will never stop, not While they believe in curses, the beast rumbled low, a sound that carried both sorrow and strength. Marcus placed a hand on its scarred muzzle. Then we must show them who you truly are, not with fear, but with proof. Their chance came. Sooner than expected. A storm swept through the forest, lightning cracking trees, winds tearing branches loose. Marcus and the beast sheltered in a cave, but when the storm eased, distant cries reached them. Marcus rushed outside, in the valley below. He saw flames another village under siege, not by storm, but by raiders, armed men setting homes ablaze. People screamed, running for their lives. Marcus looked at the beast. If they see you, protect them. They will know. The beast lowered its head, as if agreeing. Together they charged down the slope, crashing into the valley like thunder. The raiders turned in shock. Their laughter died when the massive beast roared. The ground trembled under its paws. Men scattered, dropping weapons. Marcus shouted to the villagers, "Run, get to safety." The beast swung its body, scattering raiders. Its claws raked the ground, forcing men back without killing. One raider raised a blade against a child, but the beast lunged, its massive body shielding the boy. The blade shattered against its hide. The child stared in awe, whispering, "The demon saved me." Marcus fought too, using his small blade, striking when he could. The villagers saw him stand with the beast, not against it. Together they drove the raiders away. Fear turned into courage as villagers picked up tools and stones, fighting back. In minutes, the raiders fled into the forest, their torches dying in the rain-soaked earth. Silence fell, broken only by crackling flames. The villagers gathered, their eyes wide. They looked at the beast not with terror, but with wonder. An old woman stepped forward, trembling. "It saved us," she whispered. "The demon saved us." Marcus shook his head, his voice steady. "It is no demon. It is a guardian, once cursed by lies. But tonight you saw its truth." The villagers bowed their heads, some weeping. Children touched the beast's fur without fear. The beast stood tall, its glowing eyes calm, not wild. For the first time in years, it was not chained, not cursed, but honored. Word spread quickly. The story traveled faster than the elders' lies. Villagers from other colonies came, drawn by the tale of the guardian beast and the human who freed it. Some carried gifts, some carried thanks. The elders' power weakened with every whisper of truth. But the elders did not surrender. They gathered what remained of their loyal guards and marched into the valley. Their voices thundered, "Do not be deceived. This beast will bring ruin." They raised their staffs, ordering the villagers to bind Marcus and the beast, but the people stood firm. "No," they said. "We saw with our own eyes. It protected us. It saved our children." The elders screamed, "You are blind with witchcraft." They lifted their spears, ready to strike. The beast stepped forward, standing between Marcus and the elders. It did not roar this time. It bowed its head, lowering its body in peace. The message was clear: no violence, no vengeance, only protection. The villagers began to chant softly, "Guardian, Guardian." The voices grew louder, echoing through the valley. The elders faltered, their power breaking under the weight of truth. One by one, their guards lowered weapons. Some even knelt. The eldest elder fell silent, rage trembling in his eyes, but he saw no followers left. To command, Marcus stepped forward, his voice carrying across the crowd. "Fear made you blind, lies made you cruel, but now you have seen. This creature is not your curse, it is your salvation. Do not let fear rule you again." His words struck like fire in the hearts of the villagers. The beast lifted its head, glowing eyes sweeping across the valley. Children laughed, women wept, men bowed in respect. The chains of fear were broken, not by blood, but by kindness. From that day, the beast was no longer called a demon. It walked freely beside Marcus, guarding villages, protecting travelers. Its legend spread beyond the stars. A tale of humanity's gift, the power to see beyond fear, to show compassion even to those called monsters. Marcus knew their journey was not over. The scars would always remain. The memories of betrayal would never vanish, but now they had purpose. Together they would walk into a future where fear no longer ruled, where truth could rise, and so, under the light of a new dawn, the human and the beast stood, side by side, not as outcast and monster, but as companions bound by trust, loyalty, and redemption. Asterisk.